have some challenges correctly processing sense data in the real world, right?
Right.
So if your theory is correct, you're going about things entirely the wrong way.
First of all, it's not a theory, it's my personal experience, and I am dealing with this every day. And I never said that it is a theory. Uh, so, if something whacks you on the head and then you feel pain, and you say that you have been whacked on the head, it's not a theory, you've experienced it.
Which is one indication that deep down you know this theory is not correct, and you're asking for help. You're begging for help that you don't know about. You're begging for help from the police, and you got it. Because when you were put into the institution.
Yes, I did go to the police station to check with them if any other people are reporting this kind of harassment. Could this be called begging for help? Yes, maybe. Uh, I mean, so for example, if somebody goes to a job interview, they really want their job. Are they begging for a job? Again, he's using these psychological ploys to discredit and to show in an unflattering manner, and that's the way Stefan is in this conversation all through.
And you were put on medication. You were symptom-free for a week, right?
So again, this is surprising that Stefan would make a statement like that. I mean, he claimed just now that he had a presentation on psychiatry being a fraud, and here he's claiming that you were symptom-free when you were put on medication. That would indicate that he believes that psychiatric medication are very, very effective, and people are cured immediately, which I don't think he believes, but he is using this. And another surprising thing is that for somebody who claims to have studied psychiatry, to not be aware that most psychiatric medications don't become effective immediately. Most psychiatric medications, it takes like 1 to 2 weeks for them to have any sort of effect. So here he is assuming that it is true that I did not experience harassment because I was on medication. So he's assuming that once I got medication, I was immediately harassment free. So that assumption, again, is surprising that a person who who claims to have studied various aspects of psychiatry would make a mistake like that, assuming something like that. So again, I don't think he is really assuming that, but he is just using anything, whatever is there. So as he says that left will get to power, they will use anything, whatever it takes to get there. So he's using whatever it takes to browbeat me and to support his assertion that it's not covert harassment that I'm experiencing, but it is a psychiatric condition. So that is why he's doing that.
Well,
no, you were. I'm not going to go back and go over this because I know we've got a bit of a moving goalpost situation here, right?
Right.
I believe that we know everything we need to know about someone within the first few moments of meeting them. And I don't just believe that because I believe it. There's lots of studies to show that out. You can read a whole book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. I won't get into all of the data, but they can tell which doctors are more likely to get sued for malpractice from 5 seconds of muffled voice. They can tell which teachers are more popular and successful and effective based on 5 seconds of muffled speech from that teacher. We have incredible processing abilities. And you knew, I bet you, within the first 5 minutes of listening to me, you thought, this guy can throw a rope down the well of where I am and he can pull me the hell out. Now, you're fighting me like crazy, and I understand that. That's perfectly valid, perfectly sensible from a certain kind.
What the hell is saying? Again, he's using this he's using this ingenuity here. So because of some examples which might be true, yes, that can happen. So it doesn't mean that every uh, uh, it's applicable everywhere. Maybe in some specific cases it's applicable, like the examples he has given. And but I mean, just claiming that in 5 minutes of meeting anybody, you know what is going to happen, that is like astonishing claim. And uh, it's a, well, and coming from somebody like Stefan, a philosopher, and who is capable of analyzing different aspects of things. It's an astonishing statement from him, and again, it's just a part of that this ingenuity that he has been using for at least an hour in this conversation now, and so he's using whatever it takes uh, to uh, uh, discredit and to downplay uh, uh, any reason or any logic, and any uh, and any reasonableness in what I'm saying. So he's hell bent on discrediting each and everything. So now my heart rate, yeah, it's been fluctuating. So there are two components to this effect on heart rate that these dietary energy devices have. So one is that they can immediately reduce the heart rate. So heart rate can also be reduced. I've seen heart rate reduced as much as 45 to sometimes even 40, and goes up really high also. So I've seen within a matter of few minutes, it can go up to 100, 145, 150, sometimes 160, and while I'm not even doing any exertion. Yeah, so now it's becoming a little bit more uncomfortable, but I have to continue.
Standpoint. But if you call me up and you say to me, Steph, I thought for sure you would agree with me that knocks under the toilet and invisible energy weapons are real and being hit with them all the time, you're not telling the truth either to yourself or to me. Because the fact is, Sanjay, you called me up for help. You did not call me up for confirmation. Because you are incorrect with regards to all of this stuff. I'm telling you frankly, I'm telling you openly, I'm telling you even though you know that I do not trust the police and I do not trust the state. And I am not a fan of contemporary diagnosis of mental illness. I'm not a fan of psychiatry, and I'm pretty damn skeptical these days even of psychology. So I agree with you on a lot of things.
But only in the other podcast. What about this? So it doesn't seem like that you actually really believe in any of the other stuff that you're saying. So very uncharacteristics, and I would say it's not so much that he doesn't believe any of those things that he just mentioned, that he claims so passionately in all his speeches and podcasts and writing. But it's more that in this particular case, uh, is he is being uncharacteristic. So the reason for that is most likely that he has been spoken with before our conversation, and he is either co-opting because of some reason. He might have been lied to, or because he believes that it is important. It's very important to discredit any such reveal as I am doing, or uh, or maybe even because of some incentive. So I don't know what kind of incentive it could be. So he has been co-opted. So and that explains why he is being so uncharacteristic. He won't listen to. He is not giving credence to reason. He is not giving credence to logic. He's not giving credence to science, technology, and he's putting words in my mouth. Non-aggression principle totally under the carpet. It's not even there. He's putting words in my mouth, and he is just uh, uh, being so unlike Stefan that there has to be something, and it's disappointing that he will do that because he has so many listeners and they listen to him, like I had been listening to him, and they believe that this guy can he can be trusted. But obviously, here I mean that uh, uh, he's not being a good custodian of the trust that he wants people to have in him. So that is very, very disappointing and sad.
I agree with you that the government does nasty stuff all over the world. I agree with you that there are harassment programs that the government goes on with you. I agree with you that the police are often corrupt. I agree with you that psychiatry is largely a scam. So there's so much that I agree with you on that I'm not just opposing you on everything. And the reason I'm saying all of this, Sanjay, is because I really, really, really want you to have some time with your daughter that doesn't require somebody looking over your shoulder and making sure you're not telling her that daddy is being subject to covert harassment by state-sponsored and state-funded terrorists. Because you cannot be telling that stuff to your daughter. You understand?
So,
You
so,
can.
so where is that coming from? What does he mean that you cannot be telling? I mean, so, have I ever mentioned that? Have I indicated in this conversation that I am going to tell my daughter that I'm being covertly harassed? Have I ever told my daughter? How does he know? What are his sources? Where is he getting this information from? Uh, how uh, how did he extrapolate that? Because I'm calling him and I went to the police to uh, speak about this covert harassment. How does he know that that also means that I am telling my daughter also about this, who's 7.5 years old. So obviously there is something else. He has some other sources of information that he is relying on in this respect. He knows something which I don't. So first of all, so either he's assuming that I have told my daughter, or he's assuming that I will be telling my daughter, or I'm in the process, or I'm like itching to tell my daughter. So, and how does he know that? Because that subject never came up, and so obviously, he is he uh, uh, in saying that he is processing some information which has not come from me, but has come from some other, so which he is not telling. So he's again, it's disingenuous of him that he is claiming that I'll be doing that. Uh, uh, and without uh, providing any reason why uh, he thinks that will be happening or that has happened, why he's thinking like that. So maybe that he might have been co-opted on that basis that since I'm claiming that I'm covertly harassed, I am just imminently or I have been telling my daughter all the time, or I'm imminently capable of telling my daughter that I'm being covertly harassed. Uh, so he's hiding something, obviously. He is being deceptive and he's lying. And he's doing all this song and drama uh, on the basis of something which he's not admitting and uh, not letting me know that he's doing this song and drama, not letting his listeners know that he's doing this song and drama, while his intention all along has been something else.
Not be telling that stuff to your daughter because you have no proof.
Maybe not today. Yes, absolutely. Not today, but say after 2 years.
No, you cannot tell. Oh my God, you can't tell. You're playing into their hands, even if you believed all of this. This is exactly.
Now he's saying you are playing into their hands. So again, I mean, that is something that they also want to say. So these harassment agencies obviously don't want me to speak about it. That's why I've been having so much difficulty in recording this. And apparently Stefan has been co-opted, which he won't admit. So yeah, of course, and because it is covert, it is under the wraps. It's funded most likely by state, but illegally because there's no stated reason for funding this kind of harassment, and a lot of money is involved. So these harassment agencies obviously are saying that you cannot speak about it, you should not speak about it, don't talk about it. And I've heard that from a couple of informants from these harassment agencies also. So yeah, that basically is speaking the language. He's been told to speak like this. He's been told to co-opt in this fashion because that is something which maybe he's been told that that is right or something, or and it's not that I have been trying to tell my daughter about it. Actually, I've never. Of course, she is too small to understand these kind of things. So the passion with which he claimed that I cannot be telling this. I mean, you cannot be telling a 7, 8 year old about the laws of physics, right? So you cannot be telling them about uh, about ships moving at lights at the speed of light. They probably won't understand. But it takes some time for children's brains to grow strong enough and powerful enough to be able to process and understand the information that they receive. So why he's stuck on this that you can't be telling your daughters because the reason is that he probably he um, it seems to me that he has been told that I am going to be telling this to my daughter, which is not good for her, and that's why uh, uh, and that's why he has to discredit uh, uh, and he has to assert that this covert harassment business is all imagination. That can't be the only thing. There must be some other incentive also, but that might be a part of it. So he's obviously obvious to me. He has decided to co-opt based on some incentives or some other reason, which he's not telling.
The wrong thing to say.
No,
If you believe, like, they're going to listen to this in your worldview, right? These covert harassers are going to listen to this. So you'd be saying, if you really believed in them, you'd be saying, oh no, I'm going to have this conversation with these covert harassers. So of course I'm going to say I'm never going to say it to my kid because she's too young and it's inappropriate, right? Your child is 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, and you're saying you're going to tell her in 2 years when she's 9 that dad is being targeted by invisible energy weapons and there are knocks coming from under the toilet, and I mean, come on.
I never said anything like that. Again, he's putting words in my mouth.
You know she can't handle that, and that's not appropriate to tell a child.
I'm not putting a time frame on that. I'm not saying, no, I didn't say that I was speaking at 9. But let's say in 3 years or 4 years.
Okay, you can change the goalpost. It is released. You can change the goalpost, but this is unhealthy, right? You said 2 years, now you're saying 3 or 4 years. Okay, so let's say she's 10 or 11 or 12. You cannot tell her that dad is being targeted with invisible energy weapons that no one can see. You can't do that. Because you have no proof.
Confused there.
And that's unfair to her.
Yes, I agree.
You understand? This is why you have supervised visits, my friend.
Well, so again, he's assuming. So actually, I'm surprised that he mentioned that this is why you have supervised visits, because you are going to be telling your daughter that you are being covertly harassed. I had not thought about that. I mean, the reason supervised visitation started is because I was in a psychiatric facility. And my ex-wife insisted that you do supervised visitation for a while. And so I thought that because I was in the psychiatric facility, that's why I'm having to endure supervised visitations for a period of time. Although it has continued for over an year now. But he brought an interesting point that is why you're being supervised, because you're going to be telling your daughter that you are being covertly harassed. So that's interesting, and I think that's again it's only an excuse. So say for example, if a parent tells his or her daughter that every time they drive to work they see a UFO in the sky, so are they going to have to go through supervised visitation because of that? I don't think so. So this again, I mean, it's just an excuse. So the basic thing here is the so now he's saying is that. So it's pretty interesting how this covert harassment and this supervised visitation, all of them are related, and he is relating them. So he's also indicating here that if you stop claiming that you're being covertly harassed, you might escape supervised visitation. So that is the dangle, that is the carrot which I had been offered before, but I refused it because I couldn't say that I'm not being covertly harassed when I am being covertly harassed. It's happening every day. So that is a carrot which has been offered before, and he is also dangling on that if you stop speaking about this covert harassment, you might escape supervised visitation, and which is what the harassment agencies also want to say. And my ex-wife certainly would love it if I admit that I'm having these hallucinations and I imagine myself as I am psyching myself into having high heart rates and high blood pressure, and I am psyching myself into having my muscles destroyed, muscles in my legs and muscles in my arms being destroyed. I'm psyching myself into all this, and there's nothing actually happening. I'm not hearing any voices. I'm not hearing any noises. I'm not being exposed to any direct energy. The harassment agencies would be really happy with that. My ex-wife would be really happy with that. And the carrot that is being dangled for that is that you are going to, you might get a shot at not having supervised visitation if you do that. So he's repeating basically the same thing that harassment agencies want him to say.